Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So today's May 1st and I'm going to talk about all the 14 books I read in April. I'm very excited. I read some bad ones, but I also read like my new favorite book ever, I feel like. I love it so much. You probably already know what it is. First, I'm going to talk about some of my stats from the month. I have a little stats page in my book journal where I write down a bunch of different stuff. Let me know if you ever want a book journal tour, because this thing is like my pride and joy. She's nothing like super special, but I am obsessed with this thing. Yeah, my stats for the month. In April, I read 14 books and I read 2,738 pages. 5 of those were physical books, 3 were Kindle books, 6 were audiobooks, which is crazy for me. 2 of those books were from Kindle Unlimited, 7 were from Libby, like my library app, and I still have 52 books on my physical TBR shelf. Little disclaimer, it's pouring rain outside, so you might hear that, and also Molly is snoring a little bit. So if you hear dog snores or rain, I feel like it's a fun little vibe, so just disregard all that. So the first book I read this month was The Bluff by Devoney Perry, or Willa Nash. I read this one on my Kindle and I really liked it. This is the second in a series and I'm so excited to get to the third one because I'm really liking this series so far. It's called the Calamity Montana series. It's like small town Montana romances. So this book is small town fake marriage tropes and a single dad trope, which I always love. But it's also Grumpy Sunshine, and I have come to realize I don't love grumpy men in books anymore. Like, the more I read Grumpy Sunshine, the more I get so annoyed. Something about it isn't doing it for me anymore. So basically, this book follows Everly and Reese. And Reese has a strained relationship with his ex-wife and his daughter. His daughter just like, she wants to be with him. But the ex-wife is like, hell no, hate you, don't want you to have anything to do with our kid, which sucks. So in order to seem more responsible, him and Everly get married. Obviously a fake marriage, but like the public doesn't have to know that. So they get fake married, like he looks more responsible and so he can get his daughter back, which is sweet. But I just thought he was a little rude throughout the beginning, which is the point because it's Grumpy Sunshine. I did give it a 3.5 out of 5, so I did like it. I thought it was fun, and I did like their romance once they like started admitting they had feelings for each other. But yeah, overall, I did like it, and I'm so pumped to start the next book pretty soon. Next, I listened to Killjoy by Holly Jackson on audiobook. This is the prequel novella to the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, and it just follows Pip and her friends at a murder mystery party. It's sort of like Pip's origin story of why she loves being a little detective so much. It was cute. I gave it 3 stars. It was nothing special. I liked it. It was just a 3 or 4 hour audiobook. It was super quick. It was just like her and her friends at a little party. It was cute for what it was. I just didn't love it. There wasn't much to go with, you know? So solid 3 stars. I enjoyed it. Next up, I listened to the audiobook of Night Shift by Alex Finlay. This one was about New Year's Eve 1999. Teens are working at a Blockbuster and they get brutally murdered, but one survives. 15 years later in that same town, there's a couple teens working at an ice cream shop and they get murdered in a very similar way and only one survives again. So the 2 survivors from each case sort of get together and try to see if the cases are connected since they seem so similar, and the suspected murderer from the first crime never got put in jail because he just fled. I didn't love it. I gave it a 2 star. It was fine. It was fun. It was a thriller. But I literally don't remember the ending. I didn't like it. I don't remember how it ended, and I read it like a month ago. I don't remember exactly why I didn't like it. I just know that I didn't. So we're gonna move on. I gave it 2 stars. I don't remember if I said that already. Next book I read was Not So Perfect Strangers by L.S. Stratton. I loved this one. It was so close to being 5 stars. I ended up giving it a 4.5. I thought it was so fun. This is basically about Tasha and Madison, who are both trying to exit their abusive marriages. They meet one night because Tasha is driving. She's like leaving her husband finally, and then Madison comes up, knocks on her window of her car, and is like, let me in, like, drive me away, please. I'm trying to leave my husband. So Tasha ends up taking Madison, and they form this sort of friendship, and then it goes crazy from there. And I'm not going to say much more because it was shocking to me, to be honest. And I really liked one of the characters' backstories. It was super, I didn't like it, but it was interesting to learn about. It was very messed up, and I thought that added a lot to the story, honestly. I really enjoyed it. It's told in like then and now chapters. It's also dual POV. It's also dual POV with Tasha and Madison. It's also, this is just the coolest cover ever. It's so pretty, and the spine is so gorgeous on my shelf. I really liked this book. I highly recommend. So the next book I read was Stay Awake by Megan Golden. I also listened to this one on audiobook. This one was about a woman named Liv who wakes up in a taxi, and she doesn't know how she got there. She doesn't remember like why she's in a taxi. The taxi drops her off at her house. She knocks on the door, and a couple answers, and they're like, you don't live here, we've lived here for 2 years. She tries to find her phone to call her friend, but instead of her phone in her pocket, she finds a bloody knife. And then she like looks at her arms finally, and she sees that they say stay awake on them. So she's obviously super confused and concerned, and basically the book just follows why she doesn't have her memory, why her arms stay awake, did she do something with that bloody knife. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I guessed the ending, like the big twist ending, from probably like the 40 or 50% mark. I had a gut feeling when someone was introduced, and I was like, that has to be the reason. And I was right, which always takes away a little bit of that enjoyment because like the element of surprise isn't there anymore. Overall, it was fun, it was thrilling, it was weird, and I enjoyed it. Next up, I listened to the audiobook of The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, and I loved this one. It was a surprising 5 stars for me. I did not go into that book thinking I was going to love it as much as I did, but I really enjoyed it. So this one is about Tiffy and Leon. Tiffy just got out of a relationship with her boyfriend, and they live together, so she moves out and needs somewhere to stay. So she finds this ad online for a man named Leon who is renting out his 1-bedroom apartment and his bed for half of a day. So she moves in, and basically Tiffy gets it during the evenings and like mornings because she works during the day, and Leon works at night, so he gets it the opposite times. So like basically they never are in the apartment at the same time. They share a bed, they share a flat. They start leaving post-it notes all over the apartment to talk to each other, and it is so cute. It's so cute. I loved it. And then they obviously like meet up one day, and the romance ensues, and it is so cute. There were also deeper subplots, like Leon's brother is in prison, someone's trying to help him, and Tiffy's ex-boyfriend is an abusive jerk. So it makes the story deeper, and I loved the characters a lot more because we got to see those like raw sides of them, and I just loved it. I'm gonna buy a physical copy super soon. I want to reread it eventually and annotate it, and I just loved it so much. That one was an obvious 5 star. Love her. The next book I read was Meet Me in the Margins by Melissa Ferguson. I listened to this one on audiobook as well. I was having an audiobook kick that week. I read 3 in like 4 days. This one was fun because it's like about the book publishing company. This follows Savannah, who's writing a romance book, but like she's scared to talk about it at work because her boss and like agency are all about like literary fiction and nonfiction, and they don't like fluffy romances or thrillers. Like they don't like all that stuff. So when she finds her manuscript for her romance novel in a room with like annotations and like clearly someone has read it, she's shocked because she's like, no one here likes romance, they're all gonna make fun of me. Also, her mean boss just hired her own son to be like the new, like, I don't know if he was a CEO, but he was like high up in the company, I'm pretty sure. His name's like William. Savannah and her mystery editor have been like talking in the margins, hence the name Meet Me in the Margins. and she falls in love with him. And obviously it's William, our other main character, and it was pretty cute. I didn't love it that much. It felt super, it was sort of slow to me at some points. I gave it a 3 stars overall. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a cute romance, but I remember this might be a spoiler, so if you don't want to listen, like skip ahead like 30 seconds or something. But like I had 30 minutes left in the audiobook and they hadn't even kissed. What kind of romance is that? I just want a little more. I like slow burns, but like that was a slow burn. I did like it, so yeah. Meet Me in the Margins was just fine. Next, I read The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda. This is my second Megan Miranda book, and the second Megan Miranda book I gave 2 stars. I don't think I like her writing. I don't know if I'm gonna pick anything up by her again. This was really bad to me. It was like pulling teeth to get me to finish this book. I read it over like a whole week and a half, which is long for me. That's super long for me, especially with thrillers. I usually eat thrillers up. I really didn't like this. It was weird though. I started this book and the TV show Yellow Jackets on the same day. I love Yellow Jackets, by the way. If you have any book recommendations that are like Yellow Jackets, the show, please give them to me. I just caught up the show last night and that's all I can think about. Last night I was on Reddit for 3 hours looking at this subreddit. I was on TikTok for like 2 hours. I'm so obsessed with that show. You know what I'm not obsessed with? This book. This book gave similar vibes, but just done so much worse. This is about a group of high schoolers who are on their way to something. I don't remember what, like a field trip of sorts. The bus crashes and they like go down into a ditch and they're down there for like 7 hours and bad things happen. It takes place like 10 years in the future from when that happened, and the survivors from that night keep dying, and they all like meet up at this beach house every year on the anniversary to like mourn together and try to make themselves feel better. It didn't do it for me. It was not thrilling at all. Like, this was the most boring ass thriller I've ever read. I hated this book. 2 stars, not even gonna talk about it. Maybe I should give it 1 star because I actively hate this book. Sorry, Megan Miranda, if you're watching. I know you're not. The next 3 books are ones that I read in my 12-hour reading vlog I posted recently, so I'm not going to go too in-depth into them, but I am going to brush over them quickly. I listened to the audiobook of If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy, and I liked this a lot. I gave it a 4 stars overall. It's a very loose Cinderella retelling. So this follows our main character, Cindy, who has graduated college for shoe design, which is cute, and she moves back in with her stepmother and 2 stepsisters, and her stepmom is the like executive producer at like The Bachelor, but in their world it's called like Before Midnight, but it's The Bachelor. The stepmom is like, you 3 should go on The Bachelor show. So they all go on, and it's a really cute romance between Cindy and the male main character. I really liked their romance, but the ending felt super rushed and bad. I did not like the ending. 4 stars. Then on that same day, I read Shatter Me by Tiara Mafi. I thought this was fun. I gave it a 3 stars. I'm not the biggest dystopian or fantasy, I don't even know if this is a fantasy fan, but it was entertaining, and obviously I read it in like 3 hours, so it like held my attention. I just didn't love it that much. I feel I'm not even going to talk about the plot of this because everyone knows what it's about, I feel like, because it's so popular. With that being said, I gave it 3 stars. I did buy the second book in the series, but sorta don't want to read it anymore, so I might return it. Let me know down in the comments if I should continue this series or if I'm not gonna like it. I don't know. The last book I read in that vlog was The Inmate by Freida McFadden, and I really liked it. I gave it a 3.5 overall, but it's pushing 4 stars. It's about our main character, Brooke, who starts working at a prison, but like the twist is, it's the same prison her ex-boyfriend is in, and she's the reason that he's in prison. It's crazy. I really did like it, but I think the reason I gave it a 3.5 instead of a 4, knew what the twist was gonna be, but like there was like 3 big twists, I think, and I'm pretty sure I guessed like 1.5 of them. So I still really liked it, and it was super gripping. It was wild, but like it wasn't a new favorite. Next, I read The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth, and this was another 5-star for me. Initially, I gave this a 4-star, but I read it like a week ago and I could not stop thinking about it, so I upped it to a 5-star. This book follows 2 sisters named Fern and Rose. You see both sisters' perspectives. Fern's is like a normal perspective of a book, and Rose's are told through like diary entries, which was really interesting. They're 2 sisters, and Fern is probably on the spectrum. They don't outright say she's autistic, but like that's the vibes, and it's very heavily implied, which I really liked that representation. I liked being in her mind. It was so fun being in her mind. But Fern is very seemingly dependent on Rose. Like, they have dinner like 2 or 3 nights a week. They, like, Fern does everything Rose tells her. Rose is sort of sister/mother figure to her. Fern discovers that Rose can't get pregnant, so Fern's like, I'll take this into my own hands. I will get pregnant and give her my baby to pay her back for taking care of me, basically, and being so good to me. It's not like super thrilling and fast-paced and like jumpy and twisty, but it's so like psychologically thrilling and interesting from there. And I'm not even going to say more because it gets wild, and I really liked it. I loved Fern as a character. Her and the character Wally or Rocco are like 2 of my favorite characters. I think about them so much since I finished this book. It was so much fun. The second to last book I read this month was Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. I've seen super mixed reviews for this book, and I really liked it. This is more like a 3.5/4, but the things I liked about it outweighed the bad about it. So Romantic Comedy follows our main character, Sally. She works at the Night Owls, but it's SNL. It's SNL, so I'm just going to say SNL. Sally works at SNL and has noticed that all of her mediocre male co-workers are like scoring these like hot supermodel, super famous women to be their girlfriends. It's like that would never happen to an average woman and like a super hot rock star of a man. But which I thought was sort of silly. I thought that plot point was sort of silly. Then superstar Noah Brewster, he's a pop musician. He comes to SNL, the Night Owl, like hosting and doing musical guests. They sort of hit it off, and then they don't talk for a while. This book is told in 3 parts, basically. The first part is like a work week at SNL, the Night Owl. I really liked the first part. The first part is like why I gave it 4 stars, because I love SNL. I love SNL so much. Like, I am obsessed with SNL. So I thought it was really cool seeing like a work week in the life of SNL, even though this was not real SNL. This was a fictional story. The second part of the book was fun. It was just basically Noah and Sally getting back in touch, and it was emails for like 100 pages. So that chapter was like super quick and easy. But then the third part is why I'm like leaning on lowering this to a 3.5 actually. Third part was 100% just COVID. It was like very intensely COVID. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, we're in the pandemic, let's gloss over that. It was like every single word in that chapter was about the pandemic, and it was just hard to read. I hated how it took place during COVID. I thought that really did this book a disservice, and without that, this book would be much more highly rated, in my opinion. Final book of April. No one's gonna guess what this is, and no one's gonna guess that this is my new favorite book of all time. It's obviously Happy Place. Obviously Happy Place was a 5-star. If you didn't watch my latest video on my Happy Place reading vlog, go do that. It was very fun to make, and I cried in it, but I ate this shit up. I fucking loved Happy Place. This is another divisive book. I feel like this is Emily Henry's most divisive book. I'm not going to talk about this really at all because you can just go watch my other video. But I loved it. I loved it so much, and I want to cry right now thinking about it. She is my new favorite book ever. I really think I'm going to reread the other 3 Emily Henrys soon. So if you want a vlog for that, let me know. I'm gonna do one anyways, but just let me know. Those were the 14 books that I read in April. I had so much fun reading this month, and I'm excited to get into my May reads. But yeah, Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day or night, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!